Hey, what's up everybody? And in this video, I'm going to go over what I think are the most important counterplays and general strategies you need to know to beat Ed in Street Fighter 6 Season 2. This character has been doing really well in tournaments, especially here in the Asian scene, so I think he's a character you have to know how to fight if you want to do well in this game. I'm trying to keep this video short, so let's get right into it with tip number 1. So the first thing I think you need to learn to deal with is Ed's standing hard punch into OD flicker. Now this is a really strong option for Ed because it leaves him at +4 frames and puts you into a strike throw shimmy mix-up. However, there is a huge weakness to this series of attacks, and that there's a gap between his standing hard punch and his OD flicker. So all you need to do is just mash on DI if you see Ed flash yellow. So just keep in mind, whenever you're in standing hard punch range, look at Ed, and if you see him flash yellow, input a DI and you get a guaranteed punish that he just has to hold and can't do anything about. So don't let Ed players get away with this. It's totally fake pressure. Show them that you know the matchup and hit that DI button. Now OD flicker is also one of his best moves in neutral because the range is absolutely ridiculous and it starts up pretty fast. So when you're playing against Ed, you're going to want to try to stand just outside of his OD flicker range. If you find yourself inside of it, the best option you have, which is pretty easy to do, is to just parry it, because that greatly reduces the amount of pull-in that he's going to get on you, and it'll keep you out of a strike throw shimmy mix-up. However, what I suggest doing is trying to aim for a perfect parry and always inputting forward to drive rush, and there are two reasons for this. So the first reason is that if he whiffs this move, it actually has 60 frames of recovery, which you can see right here. That means you'll have more than enough time to cancel your parry into a drive rush and go for a punish. So something like this. Then if you do get the perfect parry, you'll still be able to get a combo off of it. Now because that's a perfect parry canceled into a drive rush, the damage scaling will be much higher than if you whiff the move, but option selecting this is a great way to do it. So remember, aim for the perfect parry, always input your drive rush cancel, and if you get it, you'll get a combo. And then if you'd miss the timing, well, at least he won't pull you in for that strike throw shimmy mix up. Now we all know that Ed's light punch DP is one of the slower DPs in the game at 10 frames. Now it's still a good anti-air because it will catch you if you're jumping in at him. However, it has really short horizontal range, which means instead of jumping in with an attack to extend your hurt box, you should try empty jumping against this character because the move will just straight up whiff even if he gets the timing right. So with your main character, know your ranges and then try to figure out where you can jump and get a full punish counter with punish on this character. So remember, if you're going to jump at this character, try to throw in some empty jumps without pushing a button, because if you're always pushing a button, then it will clip you, but if you're not pushing a button, you'll be able to cancel, punish his recovery frames, and then go for a punish. This next tip is probably the most important thing you need to learn in the Ed matchup, and that's what to do after he throws you in the corner. Now a lot of Ed players will go for this charged flicker, which puts him at +4 and loops the exact situation over and over again. So what can we do? Well, the first thing you have to understand is this is a pure 50-50 mix-up between both you and Ed. Generally speaking, you want to aim for a perfect parry here. And once you input the perfect parry, you're going to want to dash forward, canceling your perfect parry into a drive rush, kind of like the OD flicker counterplay we had in tip number 1. Here's what it looks like. Now the timing on this is really tight, so you're going to definitely have to practice it, but if you can get it, this is the best way to counter his medium flicker meaty setup. Now some people might tell you that you should DI on wake up, but that's actually wrong because good Ed players will still have time to time their meaty and respond with the DI themselves. So waking up with DI is not the best idea here. Waking up with perfect parry is. However, waking up with perfect parry will lose to Ed if he decides to dash forward. And it would look something like this. So here Ed sets up his immediate pressure, you parry, and then he goes forward and throws you. So that's a counter, and that's the other half of the 50-50. If you think he's going to forward dash, all you have to do is input light punch, medium punch, get your counter hit combo, and then you're good to go. The next thing we're going to look at is Ed's charged standing hard punch. A lot of Ed players aren't going to be using this at high level, but some Ed players will throw this out as a Hail Mary from full screen. And all you have to do against this is just input a DI, and there's nothing Ed can do about it. So if you see him go for the full charge and he lets it rip mid-screen, all you have to do is react, push DI, and that's a guaranteed punish counter for you. So don't let Ed players get away with that. It's totally fake pressure mid-screen. This next one is a big one, and that's what to do if you actually block OD flicker mid-screen. So even though you're at -4, Ed's backwalk speed is really slow. So if he tries to go for a backwalk shimmy, doing a delayed throw tech will actually get him thrown because he can't walk out of your throw range fast enough, unlike a lot of other characters, kind of like our good old friend Akuma here. So doing delayed throw tech against this setup is actually pretty strong because he can't shimmy you. Just keep in mind that while Ed doesn't have enough time to shimmy you here, he can go for a neutral jump hard punch to beat your late throw tech timing, and that'll really suck if he has 2 bars because he gets some really high damage combos off of that. So just use your general risk reward management ideas and kind of pepper in your delayed throw tech timing against this. And if you read the jump, I mean, you can always turn the tables and go for an anti-air yourself, so it's not like it's a totally bad situation to be in. Standing medium kick is one of Ed's longest range normals, and Ed players love to throw this out and kind of buffer a DR rush behind it just in case they get lucky, hit you, and then get a combo off. If you play a character with an OD invulnerable reversal like Akuma, Ryu, Ken, Luke, and all the other really good characters in this game, you're going to want to input an option selected reversal buffer because Ed's standing medium kick into drive rush, light punch is not a gapless string. And there's no button he can push after standing medium kick into drive rush that will be gapless. So if you have a character with an OD reversal, just make sure that you always option select the reversal here. The timing is pretty tight, so you're gonna have to practice this unless you're just kind of mashing on it, which I don't recommend, but if you can get the timing, that'll be really great to do and it'll really help you out in this matchup. Only do this if you see the green flash because Ed can just stand there, do standing medium kick, and if you're mashing on the option select, well, he's going to block it and you're going to lose a lot of health for that. So only input your reversal if you see Ed go into the drive rush, and then you should be good to go if he decides to go for that option. Ed's quarter circle back light punch is -5 on block, and a lot of Ed players are going to assume that you don't know the matchup here and try to do this to you, making you think they're safe. But they're not. So make sure you know your best -5 punish move. For most characters, it's a standing light kick, and don't let Ed get away with this. Now, this isn't really a counter strategy, more of like a general game plan thing, but Ed's crouching light punch is super short, and you have to take advantage of that in this game. So if your character has moves that are normally punishable by the rest of the cast, definitely check out the spacing and see if you can get away with this kind of sloppy spacings because Ed just can't punish it. So as you can see here, M. Bison, normally this would be punishable by characters like Ken, Luke, Akuma, but Ed, he can't do anything at this spacing. Another example of this would be Rashid. Rashid's quarter circle back light punch is -6, but if you space it out, he can't get punished, which means you can go for your own kind of reverse space trap here. So go into training mode, use your own character, figure out what spacing you can use a -5 or -6 move on block, and then figure out what button you can use to go for a counter and blow up the Ed player for pushing that really short range crouching light punch. Now the last tip I have for you today is maybe the most important one, and that's to make sure you're going for light jab pressure on knockdown against Ed. And that's because his level 1 super is really slow at 10 frames. So I turn on his level 1 super and let's see what happens if I do my meaty jab setup. There, I'm able to block in time, and not only block, I'm also able to push parry when I see that level 1 come out. Then of course, if Ed decides to wake up with something like a light punch instead, this will beat that too. And the whole situation loops over and over again, and you're in like just throw loop territory here. So Ed really struggles on wake up because his reversal supers are slow, and that goes for his level 1 and his level 3 super as well. Just make sure that when you're doing your jab pressure, you're holding back as you're pushing jab, otherwise you might not be able to block in time. And once you see the animation start, hold down your parry button to get back as much drive gauge as you can, which will allow you to go for a really high damage combo afterwards. So that's it for today's counter guide video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel because it helps support me as a content creator. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, take care.